Hello again. I'm Sam Nealon, and I know I've been gone for quite some time from the juicing video world, and many of you have commented on that and have not appreciated it. So I'm back. This is video number 16, I think. I did a little apology video yesterday, and I'm totally shooting from the hip. Usually I have notes and I, make a point to make sure I hit everything, but we're just going to see what happens today. It might be long, it might be short, I don't know. But I thought before I'm going on a trip, and before I do that, I'll just try and get one video out. So the big news here is that I returned my Breville juicer, and I instead got an Omega Vert 350 HD. I don't know what any of that means. I'm assuming the H stands for high, but I don't know what the D stands for. Maybe you do. The box is sitting right in front of me and I still can't tell. So whatever. There are a lot of reasons that I chose this juicer, chose to return the Breville in this one. There are a couple of downsides, but the benefits that I find far outweigh those downsides. So as I'm juicing, I'm going to tell you the things that drew me to this. The primary thing is that the last couple weeks that I was using my Breville juicer, it was leaking out the sides, and I started noticing the pattern that the more leafy greens I used, and then when I would switch it to a higher speed, it was way too much power, I think, for what I was juicing. And I also was feeling ripped off because the pulp bin was so full all the time. So I felt like, am I really getting the most that I can out of these vegetables? Or am I getting ripped off because I have a really cool looking juicer? So I did some research, and actually I was in Bed Bath & Beyond where I bought the Breville, saw the guy that I bought it from. Remember, I don't know if you remember the whole story, but I only wanted the $150 juicer. There was a lot of drama that they eventually gave me the 2-up juicers, or the $2.99 juicer, which was 2 levels up. So anyway, I was telling him that it was getting wild and leaking and whatever. He said, oh, bring it back, we'll exchange it at the price that we gave you. And this one was more expensive. I think this is $387 or $378, whatever. The bottom line is that I paid $4 extra for this. So with all of the discounts and all of the drama, I've still only paid $134, and now I have a $380 juicer. And this is a masticating juicer, whereas the Breville was a centrifugal juicer. Basically it grated everything, and this one chews everything. I feel like I'm getting so much more out of this one. It's a little bit slower and it's a little bit weird in certain ways, but I think I'm totally okay with it. So I'm gonna start juicing, and let's see, can you see everything? This is a glass pouring mixing bowl that I bought. The juicer comes with 2 plastic containers, one for the pulp and one for the juice, but I found that it just wasn't working out for me. I wanted a glass mixing bowl that has a lid in case I want to just put it right in the fridge when I'm done if I don't have time, or whatever. I also have made a modification that's super white trash, but can you see this big green? It's like a colander, but it has bigger holes. I am using that to let the juice stream flow through it, because there's a lot more pulp with this one than the Breville, and I don't so much mind the pulp actually. Again, I'm lazy, so I'm wanting the most nutrition for the least amount of effort, and so I kind of graduated up one level to this from the Breville. The Breville was like the ultimate laziness, where I just threw a bunch of stuff in, but now I'm finding that I want more benefit, and so I'm willing to make a little bit more sacrifice. I still think it's because I'm lazy, but you be the judge. This has 1 speed, because this only has an RPM of 80, so you only need 1 speed on it. And it doesn't really matter what you juice first or last, but they do say to rotate what you're doing. So I like to start with parsley. One of the things I love about this little juicer is it's an auger style, so it kind of pulls the food in at this pace. And if you listen to it, or I don't know if you can hear it, it will sound like a little person is in there chewing the food. And that makes me laugh every single time. So what and this is gonna be a comedy show trying to keep this from not slipping. But you put in less at a time than you did with the Breville. Can you hear it? It makes me laugh every time. By myself juicing every time makes me laugh. What will happen is a little bit of juice will come out in the pulp bin at first, and then it will start coming out the juicer side. And it kind of self-feeds, you can see, but can you hear it munching? I think that is so funny. Okay, so can you see it? It's starting to pour through a little bit. And again, this green thing, not a part of the Omega system. I just made that up. Okay. I'm trying to think of what do I love about this that I want to tell you about. I might have to pause. This is a much longer system. Oh, I know. One of what could be a downside for some of you is that you do have to cut things up more and make them smaller because this shoot is much smaller than the Breville's. But again, I don't really care. It doesn't really take me that much time. The kale I just rip off as I put it in, or break it off as I put it in. But the apples you have to cut smaller, and you do have to de-seed anything that has a hard seed, so apples and lemons. But again, it takes me maybe less than a minute, and I was already cutting up my apples with the Breville, so, you know, whatever. Let's see, I'm doing kind of a mean green modified, as usual. Some of the modifications are because I simply forgot to get certain ingredients at the store this last time. But what I'm juicing are parsley was the first thing that I put in. This is kale. And I'm going to do green apples, lemon, a little bit of cabbage, and celery. Nope, not celery. That's what I forgot at the store. Cucumber is what I'm going to do. And I don't know if you can see, but the pulp isn't coming out yet. And so I'm going to put in apples because they have a little bit more liquid to them than the kale, and see if it kind of pushes out the pulp a little bit. One crazy weird thing that I have tried is once I'm done juicing, I go back in the pulp and I kind of squeeze it up and I put it back in. Tons more yield. It's awesome. I love this machine. I love it so much more than the Breville. Okay. See, it's kind of getting stopped up here. You probably can't see it because everything's green, but I dig it. And I dig the little, see, just fell. That happens to me a lot, and I think it's because of the vibration of the machine, and also because this is completely white trash, and no one would endorse this system probably. And I like to move the pulp around because it kind of gets stopped up in the holes, and I don't want it to overflow and have a bigger mess on my hand. And here's the thing, even with dealing with the pulp and all that, I still get a higher yield and I think a better juice. The Breville really oxidized everything, which means it put a lot of air into the juice, and while it was still more nutrition than I would normally get, it wasn't as much nutrition as the effort warranted for me. So that's why, another reason I switched to this juicer. Okay, again, the pulp is not coming out the chute, so I'll try and put more in and see what happens. So what's going on with you? Bella, Liam, how are you guys doing? Have you been juicing? Oh, you know who I wanted to hear from was Techno 350, 305, 360. I can't remember, so sorry. But how's your juice fast going? Are you still doing it? Did you lose weight? What's your story? Morning glory. Okay, this little pusher, unlike the Breville, you don't have to keep pushing. You just kind of like make sure that it gets down to the auger. And I don't know if you know what an auger is. I didn't, so Google it. But as the auger turns, it kind of pulls down the food, the produce. Okay, so there's not a lot coming through here now. Uh-oh. Sometimes I don't cut the apples small enough. Whatever. Okay. I had a couple of technical difficulties there. The pulp container was kind of stopped up. One of the things that I've learned is that the leafy greens, if you don't rotate things in between them kind of routinely, it will stop up the pulp and it will bring a lot more, it's not even liquid, it's just kind of like mush. So what I've learned is that I try to do the lemon last because for some reason the lemon tends to push everything through really well. But today's kind of a weird day. Things are not working out as I usually experience. So I'm gonna put some cabbage in now. Okay, cabbage, that's interesting. And Mary Tamara suggested that I do cabbage. She said be careful because it gives a lot of people gas, which it never has for me. So, but I don't do a ton of it. I just do like a little sliver. And, you know, supposedly it's very nutrient rich. I don't know what it helps you with. You probably do. Viewers probably do. And you might notice I'm using the fruit to move the pulp around in this little container that I've crafted, this little white trash container that I've crafted. And that's because I'm lazy. Also, I figure why dirty something else up when it's just going to go straight back into the juicer. One of the other things that I've been doing is sometimes I will take this wet pulp right here and put it back in, and that's simply because I'm too lazy to take it over to the sink, and that's because I'm juicing for the camera. It's gonna slip. Oh no. I want someone to invent something like this, a colander that's kind of like a universal concept that can go with any juice, over any juicing pitcher or catcher, because I have gone through 3 different colanders trying to figure this out, and this one doesn't really do the job because it slips off all the time. Also, it's not intended for this, so that's probably why. But you know, I'm trying to make it work, like Tim Gunn would say on the PR, Project Runway. And how is it that someone who has only sewn for 4 months is in the top? Well, I don't want to ruin it if you haven't watched it yet, but it's amazing. Just goes to show you, if you really want to do something, you can. Usually. Okay. Let's put that in there. This is going to yield a lot less juice today because I forgot celery at the store. And I don't really want to buy more because I'm going to be not here for a while. So, but don't try and come rob my house because other people live here. So that will be futile. Okay, so here's the pulp container. And this pulp comes out in, can you see that? Kind of in like, I don't know, fun-sized candy bar shapes. But what I did yesterday, and I thought was kind of fun and cool, is I dumped it out and I squeezed it together. Also, it's significantly less pulp than with the Breville. But I dumped it out, which I know you can't really see. And it's kind of warm, which is disgusting. But I want to get the most out of it, so I just balled it up, and I'm going to put it back in the juicer and do it a little bit slowly, and it's going to come out a lot thicker, but I find that I get a lot more from that, and I feel like, hey, I bought the produce, I'm spending the time to juice it, I might as well get the most that I can out of it. So that's what I'm doing. And it's unbelievable how much little pulp I'm left with when I use this juicer and when I put the pulp back through. It makes me feel like, yeah, I was really getting ripped off with the Breville. I mean, it's a cool machine for sure for convenience and speed, but you definitely don't get as much out of your juice. So that's why I went for this, and I dig it. So there's a little bit more pulp still in there. Okay, and Mary Tamara sent me videos of a guy who's like apparently a juicing guru. And I will put the link up there. He's hilarious, but he does juice offs between the different juicers. And I had seen them before I bought the Breville, and I was like, oh, whatever. But I went back and watched them again, and I totally agree with him. He uses this. He's been juicing for 20 bajillion years and knows every single juicer on the market and everything about it. So I would actually go to one of his videos. I'll post it. I'll post his name. Go to one of his videos and check this one out and see all the stats and statistics. No, not stats. Specs. That's the word I'm looking for. On why this juicer is superior. But the main thing that I'm learning is that it depends on what your goals are as to what juicer you should buy. So my goals kind of changed through the process, and that's why I changed juicers. And okay, back to this. You also let it run because unlike the Breville that once it's done, it spits it all out both directions. This one kind of keeps going, so that's why I'm still letting it spin a bit. And again, if you go to his videos, he can explain why. I'm not really good at that part of it. I'm good at making a mess, laughing at it, and then drinking the juice and feeling like I'm healthy. That's my gig. Okay, so I finished juicing, and I forgot celery and ginger root, actually, this time around. So there was less yield because celery has a higher yield content or water content or something. But even with that, it's still, I don't know if you can see it, it's still juiced just under a quart. So my new system is that I have 2 of these, and I fill them up and I drink one later for breakfast, and then I drink one for lunch or dinner, depending. Oh, the other cool thing about the Omega, because it doesn't oxidize the produce as much, you can put it in an airtight container for up to 72 hours. Whereas with the Breville, you pretty much needed to drink the juice right then and there, because it really wouldn't last. The nutrients wouldn't stay, all the enzymes and all that would pretty much be gone. So again, this is without the celery. Usually with the celery, this is probably almost full. So, man, it's cool. I'm not going to taste it right now because I'm not going to drink it right now, so sorry. It's pretty early and I have to go back to work, so I don't want to drink anything until I'm actually hungry. Also, they say that you should drink juice when you're hungry because your body absorbs the nutrients better and faster. Basically, like, don't eat a meal and then do juicing like an hour later because you're full and your body's already processing all that food that you just ate. So that's my deal, and I don't know how this video is going to turn out because this was my first time doing it with the video and this juicer, but this is far more complicated. But in the end, the biggest picture of all, it's really not that complicated and it's awesome. And 2 things that I have been getting compliments on, probably at least 3 or 4 times a week, is that my skin looks really good, which I think is also from having done HCG, but also my hair. Everyone keeps talking about my hair. Well, what I'm noticing is that my hair is growing like a weed. I can tell because I have roots. It's growing so fast, I think, as a result of juicing. And everyone just is in general saying, oh, you look so healthy, you look so good, you look, you know. So I'm thankful for that. But I do attribute a lot of that to the juicing. I think there's real benefit and power in just getting fresh fruits and vegetables. Now, the next graduate level for me is trying to migrate to all organic. That's kind of hard to do as we're moving into the winter months and what's going to be available. Also, they're just hard to get around where I live because it's not as, well, they're super rip-off. It's a super big rip-off. That's part of it. And maybe it's because I'm cheap. But I juice a lot every day, so it requires a lot of produce to keep this fix going. So I want to get to the spot where I can do organic stuff, you know, no pesticides and farm fresh and supporting the local farmer. Yeah, that's me. I'm becoming that. You heard it here first, for sure. All right, well, thanks for joining me. Thanks for being patient. And what do you think about the Vert? I mean, I know you aren't here with me and tasting it and all of that, but, you know, just from what you've heard, any thoughts, comments, hopes, dreams? Okay, juice on, or new tagline that we're looking for. Bye.